Okay. It's
All right.
yeah, it's up. At least it
It
looks
is
like
up.
it.
Yeah, okay, it's coming up for sure. There we go.
All right,
All
awesome.
right, let's link. Let's promote it. Um, all right. Texans go to Super Bowl. Nice. That title works.
Yeah, I figured you would love it.
Yes.
I worked extra hard in the
Uh,
description too. Just such high quality.
oh, I didn't read that. I need to read that now. Um, yeah, nice. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Isaac, there's more
I'm very
black than blue. That's
ugh.
not good.
I'm here. I hear it. I see how it is. Look, I'm sorry. It's the same as I usually am. I'm just wearing a black jacket today. That's all. That's all.
Right. That's
I get
pretty
cold.
good. Okay, I feel you. All right, I have the chat up just in case we need it.
All right, cool.
I think we're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are.
All right, three, two, one. Welcome everyone to another episode of Football for Fun. This time, I am delighted the Texans fan.
I'm still delusional, the Panthers fan. Welcome on in.
Welcome to this episode of Football for Fun. Hope you are enjoying life, enjoying free agency. I hope that your teams are making good moves. We have had some interesting developments since we last talked. But I think in the spirit of Football for Fun being that, centered around, Texans and Panthers fans, the Panthers had their moments in free agency. I mean, you guys like y'all what'd y'all do again? I've
Wow.
actually like
No, we
no,
signed a
y'all
bunch
did
of guys on
stuff.
defense. It's all right. We signed some guys on
Yeah,
defense, and we took Dallas's running back, and I think that sums it up. So
that's
we
right.
got
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
We got better.
I only remembered y'all were in the running for Milton Williams and that didn't work out. But which was unfortunate. But
Yeah, that's like
anyway,
the only thing anyone actually
all
knows.
right. Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
great. It's great, isn't
for
it?
right. It's like you're known for the times that you like it didn't work out or like the memes, I guess. I don't know. But the Texans have also had their moments. We trade Laramie Tunsil, but we have been making some positive moves. We actually, you were telling me this because I'm like, I was so out of the loop. Apparently, like I just learned that we signed Cam Robinson, which I like. I don't think it was out there. Like for context to the crowd, Cam Robinson is a left tackle or a tackle. Was he from Jacksonville? Did he come straight from Jacksonville? I know he
I
was
know he
on
played
Jacksonville.
for Jacksonville at some point. I think last season he was in Jacksonville. He may have played elsewhere in his career as well, but he's consistently been a very good left tackle as far as I'm aware. So seems like a good signing. You should
Yes.
definitely be happy about it.
But he was in Jacksonville from 17 to 24, and then he was in Minnesota for 24. He must have got traded or something.
Aha. Okay.
He was traded midseason to the Vikings, which is interesting. I guess he's a free agent. So we have signed Cam Robinson, who is, from what I hear, a pretty good left tackle. He'll turn 30 during the season, so still not really like that old, but also not that young either. We did only sign him to a 1 year deal though, so we might have to figure out the left tackle position this time next year, but that's totally okay.
Well, you've got some
Yeah,
flexibility
I
now
do.
too. You could be looking to draft a guy, later on a day two pick maybe, and he can sit behind him for a year and
Yeah, for
develop.
sure. Yeah, so no, definitely there's that possibility. We could draft someone. We have that Lakin Tomlinson guy, I think, who's like he's like older and apparently not that good, but we're trying to make progress on the offensive line. I think really what this comes down to is D'Amico, Nick Casario, and co. They're just trying to like. There's just something negative about the culture of like the offensive line. Like it was bad, and to be completely honest, like it can't really get much worse than it was. So we're just trying to like move things around. Like, yes, we trade Laramie Tunsil. He's probably just one of the best left tackles in the league, but I think it kind of run its course. We got pretty decent draft compensation. We got a third this year, a second next year, which could be pretty good. We could use those picks, to like shore up on the offensive line. So even if on paper it might look like we're regressing on the offensive line, I think we just need a culture change on the offensive line. So we got Cam Robinson. We'll probably, I mean, I don't have the depth chart memorized, but we might have to start Titus Howard, this Lake and Tomlinson dude. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, I'm hopefully optimistic. I guess is what I'm trying to say is that we'll be
Cautiously
improved.
optimistic.
I think that is what I was trying to cautiously optimistic. I think that our offensive line is going to improve, but in other news, we made Derek Stingley the highest paid corner in the league, and Daniil Hunter the second highest paid by per year basics defensive player in the league. So I know I've been rambling. I know these are my Texans players, so I should have like maybe the more like thoughts. But what do you think of these moves? Like, what do you think of us Texans like spending money, like retaining our talent and things like that?
It's been great to see you guys finally making some moves because it felt like it'd been a rather quiet offseason for you guys so far. I mean, all you could really point to was you guys traded away Laramie Tunsil for some reason,
right? Like Christian
I've been saying,
but,
yeah. I think people kind of forgot about that when free agency really started, because that was one of the first moves that happened. But yes, you guys got Christian Kirk, and you should be set at the wide receiver position next year. I think we've both been saying we need to wait and see what Houston does with their offensive line before we accurately judge the Tunsil trade. And I think the move to get Robinson for a year is a really good move. They got younger at the position, they're paying less money, and you got some draft compensation. So I liked that move. As a Panthers fan, I really loved seeing you guys extend Stingley the way you did. At $30 million a year, right? That's $5 million more per year than J.C. Horn is getting, and people were not fond of that move. People thought we overpaid. Now, our reasoning was, all these other guys are about to, reset the market. We need to pay our guy while we can before he gets, even more expensive. So I was really happy to immediately see that happen. As for what he's worth, I honestly do not know. I'm going to trust you and assume that Stingley is worth the $30 million. Sort of like you kind of have to trust me on J.C. Horn. So,
right, yeah. I think
seems
it's
like a good move.
Yeah, and like I was saying before the podcast, like he'll eventually get lapped. Like Sauce Gardner is probably gonna make $31 million a year now because of this. And like, you could have like, I don't know if Sertan's up for a deal, but he could, be up there pretty soon.
When he is, he's going to reset the market. You have no doubt about that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So, I think it's, fair enough. Like, okay, you can always argue that, like, technically, is it a little bit of an overpay? But I think in reality, like, Derek Stingley and Daniil Hunter are some of the best, in their position groups, and they should be paid as such. It's like, it's not like, it's a little bit different than, like, how the quarterback market is sometimes, where you'll have, like, Trevor Lawrence become the highest paid quarterback like in the league, like just like these like mid-tier guys getting paid so much, which is kind of weird. But I think in like other positions like receiver and like defense and things like that, like especially if you're the best in your position, you should be paid like that. And obviously Derek Stingley is still entering his prime, if not already in his prime. Daniil Hunter, who we haven't yet got into, a little bit different because he's a little bit on the older side.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw the contract details. It's 1 year, $35 million, right? I was shocked to see that. That seemed like a lot of money. I know he's great, but
yes,
it's a lot of money. Man.
Yes, that's pretty interesting. And keep in mind, some players might, or not players, some fans might kind of misunderstand or kind of miss the point. We already had him for this coming year, like under contract. This is like a 1 year extension, so we have him through 2026, including all, and assuming all goes well. And I think we're paying him something like $55 million, like over those 2 years. So
that sounds right.
But yeah, like that 30, yeah, so that $35 million for that 1 year. It makes him, I guess when they say like per year, I guess they're just including that 1 year. They're not talking about the other year, like this year.
Yeah,
because he's right below Myles Garrett, but right above Max Crosby. My take on it, I don't hate it. A lot of the comments I was reading before this was like, you know, totally overpay, whatever the kids say, right? Like being
That's
like
exactly what they say.
overpaid, doing whatever. Right. But I think it's fine. I think Daniil Hunter has proven. I think he is like one of the more underrated like defensive players like in the league. Because when you think about like the best play like defensive players in the league, like like edge rushers and linebackers and stuff like that, you think you'd probably immediately say T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. Back in the day, you'd say Aaron Donald. I don't think a lot of people would really get to Daniil Hunter as soon as they should. Um,
He's in the
I
top
do
10.
think I don't think
Just don't
Daniil
know
Hunter
where in the top 10.
10 for sure. I don't think he's like top 2 or anything like that. I do think Myles Garrett and like TJ Watt are better, but he could be like, like top 5 to 7 ish. I'd have to look specifically to see like who I would like take over. And, also he is aging, so there is that to consider. But I did actually do a little bit of research before this because I was kind of wondering, like, well, he's like one of the higher paid, like, defensive edge players like in the league. I wonder how his like kind of recent sack numbers compare to the others. Oh, what's up, Devin? How's it going? Good to see you. But anywho, so what I kind of wanted to sort of present the stats is that actually, how do I want to go with this? So I was looking at, sack numbers. I know sack numbers are not like the end all be all when it comes to like who's the best defensive player, but it's a pretty good indicator, right? Like TJ Watt had like multiple seasons, I think, with like over 20 sacks. He's a pretty dang good player, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm very
So
interested to see where
I
you're
was
going
looking.
with this.
Yeah, I actually found this very interesting. So since 2019, so I looked at some sack numbers since 2019. Why did I choose that specific year? I don't know why. Probably to make my stats sound better. But the leaders with like say 80 sacks, I think TJ Watt's up there. Nick Bosa's kind of up there. Someone else was up there, not TJ Watt. Anyway, Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett was the other one. So
Oh yeah,
Max Crosby since 2019 has 59 and a half sacks. Do you want to know how many Daniil Hunter has?
I'm gonna guess more than that.
Daniil Hunter has 59 and a half.
Oh, so the same amount.
And
But how many seasons have they
what
both
makes it
had since then?
well
Has
since
Crosby been in in
2019,
the league since then?
yeah.
I don't
No,
honestly
Max
remember when he
Crosby.
entered the league.
No, he's like, or was he? Am I making myself sound dumb? Okay, he was drafted in 2019. So no, yeah,
Okay.
he was a rookie in 2019. Well, the other
Okay.
thing is, Daniil Hunter did not play in 2020. So Daniil Hunter has one less season.
Okay.
So I just found it interesting. Now I did kind of didn't realize you made a good point that maybe Max Crosby was like a rookie in 2019, so maybe his production wasn't up there. And Daniil Hunter was already like in the league a few years. I found it pretty interesting that um, Max Crosby and Daniil Hunter have the exact same amount of sacks since 2019. I think Nick Bosa has like 62 and a half, and he was also drafted in 19. So all that to say, I still think Daniil Hunter's up there. Who knows, like with age and stuff like that, like is he going to be able to sustain it? But I think it's okay. I think it's
At the
decent.
very least, it has to be fair to say he has been one of the best at getting to the quarterback and bringing him to the ground. That's the bare minimum here. He's been one
Yeah,
of the best in the league for a while at sacking the quarterback. But there has to be some
yes,
reason he
definitely.
doesn't have the same, household name and recognition as some of these other players. What do you suppose that would be?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I would say, and I will, just to be fair, he hasn't had the production that like Myles Garrett and TJ Watt have had. But it might be comparable to that of like a Max Crosby or even like Nick Bosa. I think also like, okay, I think Trey Hendrickson had more, but it's like, yeah, Trey Hendrickson had like 77 or something. So another very underrated defensive player. Like you don't normally name Trey Hendrickson like in like the top defensive like like players, right? But
Yeah,
he's
he
up
was not
there.
someone I thought of until like the past couple of years.
Exactly. Like when the Bengals were like making the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so when
I
the
kind
Bengals
of
got more
wonder.
recognition. Maybe that's
Huh.
that's the key here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I kind of wonder if it was just something having to do with like the market as well as like yeah, like recognition, like because like the Vikings, I feel like had like a lot of like very meh years. Um, Bengals, well, I guess Bengals have made a couple or made a Super Bowl and won some playoff games, but if
But
you make the
that was
market
when people
argument,
started paying attention to them, though, and that was really more had more to do with Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow. He brought that aura with
mhm,
him to Cincinnati. People instantly paid attention to
that's
them.
true. Yeah. And I think if you think about like the markets, well, I guess to be fair, Cleveland is not a great market, but I think everyone knows Miles Garrett is good. But like Pittsburgh is an established franchise. Aaron Donald I know Aaron Donald's retired, but to give him as an example, like the LA Rams are like a very established market. Max Crosby in Vegas is, like that's a pretty good market. Who am I missing? So I wonder if it has
Bosa
to
in
do
San
with that.
Francisco. Bosa has a pretty big market.
Right. So I don't know. Pretty interesting discussion. One more thing I'll say, and then I'll kind of stop rambling, is
Okay.
I do think it was good that we signed him for like, we only gave him a 1 year extension, rather than giving him like 3 years, 100 and like what, 50 million or something like that. Like I'm glad we only extended him for one more year because I
There's a
think
lot
right
less
here,
risk with
right now,
that.
he's really good. Yes. So right here, right now, I think he's really good. Like I'm kind of like, propping him up to be. Like 4 years from now, is he gonna be all that? Like if we extend him for like multiple years, it could kind of backfire. So
That was something I kind of wondered since the contract extension where he's getting 35 million. That's in 2 years, right? So next year he's getting what was it, 25 million? I
that's
think was that how much y'all signed him for? I don't
this
remember the details.
year, right? This year he's getting a number. I think it's like less than that. I think it's like
Yeah,
17 or 18 or something like that.
well,
I think it's less
he
than
got a
20,
very
if I'm not.
substantial pay increase for the
Yeah,
following
for
season.
sure.
But what if this coming
Right.
year he regresses greatly, and then suddenly y'all regret what you've already agreed to? Do you guys have an out? Is how much of the money's
Uh,
guaranteed?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think the that number is known. And it's just a risk like when you extend any like older players that it could, Danielle Hunter could flop and have like 6 sacks and be hurt half the season or something like that.
Right. But why do it now instead
Danielle,
of, wait until the season actually arrives and then, you should get a good idea of what the production's going to look
yeah,
like for that year.
that's a good question. I mean, it probably like I don't know. You never know if like I guess if he has a good season, you risk him demanding even more money. Is I guess is the kind of like thought. Um, I'm just reading just to get a. So last March, Danielle Hunter agreed to a 2 year, 49 million deal. So that was like 25 a year. Okay, so it's 25. And then they added a 35 million to the back end of his original deal. Hunter will get a 12 million raise in 25, bumping his salary to 32 million in 2026. He'll earn the remainder of the extension. Yeah, I guess I guess it just has to do with like I don't know. That's a good question. It might just be like if he does well, he'll demand like a multi-year bigger extension or something like that. Um,
But hang on, can't he
I
do
don't
that
know.
anyway? If, say this coming season he wins defensive player of the year and leads the league in sacks and, a bunch of stuff like that. Couldn't he then say he wants an extension and if they don't, then trade him to someone who will
I
pay him?
guess I guess the difference is we could just make him play another year and then, let him hit free agency.
Perhaps so. I
I
don't know.
guess if he wants to hold
We're
out
speaking in hypotheticals here. This is probably not something that will happen.
very much.
It's interesting
I
to
mean,
wonder about, I guess.
I would be elated if he won defensive player of the year and all that shebang, even if it costs us a headache, like that would be great, but
Worth
probably
it
not
for the one
happening.
year.
But those
Yep.
those are good questions for sure. Yeah, definitely. Um, I think that's it as far as like the Texans like recent news goes. Um, yeah.
Yeah, you
What do you want to talk
extended
about
your
now?
some of your best players in defense, and you are rebuilding your offensive line. So that's a big week for Houston. And someone was asking in the chat, what the heck is this title? Would you like to take that one? I know I gave you the title, but you're the Texans fan.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to. I mean, Texans are totally going to the Super Bowl. We're going to revamp our O line. CJ Stroud's going to play better. He's also going to shut up, during the offseason. We got some good receivers, and we extended our core guys. We extended Stingley. We extended Daniel Hunter. We signed Cam Robinson, Christian Kirk. We're going all the way.
No one is gonna correct you. So, you know what? Texas
Right.
going to the Super Bowl. That's what we got. And if that happens, you heard it
Yeah.
here first, and I will neither confirm nor deny how much we really believe it. So
Right.
you're just gonna have
For
to
sure.
assume that we are making a prediction. All of our money's on Houston.
Steelers over Texans. Y'all need to get a quarterback first, and then we could talk
If
about
they're
it.
not careful, they're not
Like
gonna
I'm not
have a
sure.
quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I trust Mason Rudolph to make it even to the AFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl.
I trust them to make the
Delusional
playoffs
Texans
though,
fan. Yeah, right.
just because the
If Mike
Steelers are a
Tomlin
lock
has
somehow.
another non-losing season with Mason Rudolph as his quarterback, you got to give that man Coach of the Year. I don't even care. That
I
would
mean, look,
be
he did it with
impressive.
Kenny Pickett. To be fair, we probably should have given him Coach of the Year
I
when
feel
in the
like I feel
playoffs.
like Mason Rudolph's way worse. I don't know, but
I,
I guess he did
they're
do it with
probably
Kenny
pretty
Pickett.
similar,
He's
honestly.
mm. I don't know. I always thought the perception was that Mason was terrible, but I don't know. Maybe he's okay.
He's a good
Heck, I'll go
backup.
with their quarterback. Is this a good transition to talk about Rodgers?
I mean, it's kind of been gifted to us. We got to go with it now.
So the Minnesota Vikings are sticking with JJ McCarthy. That's been the report. Before it was there was a possibility that they could sign Aaron Rodgers, but the Minnesota Vikings are going to stick with JJ McCarthy as their QB1, which I think I'm on record saying on the pod a week ago or so that I think they should do that. You could try to sign Aaron Rodgers and kind of catch the lightning in the bottle for a year or two and hope that you I don't know, go to the NFC Championship again, even if you lose, complete the Favre arc, but they're going to stick with the guy they drafted, which means that Aaron Rodgers' options are now just a little bit more limited. Because the reports earlier were that he was waiting on the Vikings, and now the Vikings have made a decision. So it's either Steelers, Giants, Browns, Titans, which he's probably not going to do, or retirement. So
So I think
what do we
if the Steelers don't run out of patience, because he's taking forever, which we have previously said, he has the right to take his time to make this kind of decision. So I don't mind that at all. Let him take his time. But if they lose their patience and they go and get a different quarterback, is he gonna go to the Giants? I mean, is he really gonna go to New York? And if he doesn't, what then? Because I can't imagine he's really gonna go somewhere like Cleveland or Tennessee. What's gonna end up happening? Because I think that's where it gets interesting, is if the Steelers decide they're not going to wait. Because, they have to make a move at some point to make sure they even have a quarterback they can start next year.
Steelers? Yeah, I agree. I kind of I think I threw this out on Discord. I'm honestly kind of I guess the only other quarterback really available is Russell Wilson, which I know a reunion could be kind of awkward, so maybe it's not ideal, but I'm kind of I'm the Steelers, maybe I just bring back Russell Wilson, just be sorry, Aaron, you took too long, but good luck in New York, good luck in Cleveland. I don't know that it's really worth I don't know. It just feels Russell's weighing on Aaron, and it's just a whole
Yeah.
complicated thing, right? Or you just hope that Jackson Dart falls to you.
Yeah, that's a chance that you can't take, though, if you're Pittsburgh. But one thing also is, what if, eventually they just run out of quarterback options? Let's say Rodgers ends up a Giant, and then Russ, for whatever reason, decided that Cleveland is a good place to be. Because, he did visit Cleveland, so it's possible he goes there. So that takes Russ and Rodgers off the market. Who's left? Are they going to go sign Flacco? Are they going to... They could bring in Jameis Winston, which I actually think that'd be fun, but I don't see that happening. The Steelers are the team right now. Of all the teams looking for a quarterback, they should be the ones who have the most urgency, because they're the only ones who are really, probably going to be competing next year for a playoff spot. The Giants don't have to worry about that. We probably not anyway.
And
I
that's
shouldn't say that with certainty.
part of why. Right. Um, that's part of why I was kind of like, just like sign Russ. Like he was in your system last year. He did okay. You can probably make the playoffs. Like you'd rather have Rodgers, but if all the options run out, then like you just got your guy. I would just like to see that so that Rodgers has to make a decision. Do I go to New York or retire basically? Like I mean, isn't it more likely he retires than he goes to Cleveland or Tennessee?
I mean, I feel like it. Yeah. Why would you want to go to Cleveland or Tennessee and just suffer for a year?
I mean, yeah, it's basically the Jets experience, but like not as bright lights, right? Even like,
Pretty
I mean, it
much.
not even that would make it worse for him. Like, go to Cleveland.
But for him to keep waiting it out
Yeah,
must mean he's confident that one of the teams he wants to play for is going to sign him. Otherwise, why
yeah,
take that chance? I mean, I don't think he's going to retire. At this point, I doubt it. We've played these games before, right? I mean, I
right.
don't see him retiring this season. Maybe next year, but I think he's going to
Yeah,
sign.
I feel like he still has gas left in the tank, and like he can still play. I think, and I think he's gonna want to play if he can.
I think he would like a
Like
chance to finish his career on a better note.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, if you go to Pittsburgh, if you just like, just
You're winning 9 games at least, making the playoffs. Good New
right,
York
you're gonna go
finish.
9-8, you're gonna make the playoffs. You'll probably lose like the Ravens, but at least you made Aaron Rodgers play the playoff game. He hasn't played a playoff game since like the 21-2 season, which was actually a while ago. But yeah, so we'll see. Um,
What would you predict as of now? Where does Rogers go?
I assume he just goes to Pittsburgh, and it happens at some point. But it's also kind of weird because maybe like it's like in the past, maybe you thought that like something like this would happen. He could retire, but it doesn't make sense to retire. In this situation, like if Pittsburgh decides to sign Russell Wilson, I'm Aaron Rodgers. Like, because if you're Aaron Rodgers right now, that could happen. You know that that's a possibility. You're still choosing to wait. So like, he might just retire. I don't know. Like, I
I
guess
mean,
New
if the
York.
Giants are still a location he can go to though, he can throw to Malik
Yeah,
Neighbors
it's
and have
just the
fun for a year.
right. I'm still, yeah, right. I'm still intrigued. Like, I think I brought this up last time. It was just like Aaron Rodgers and Stephon Diggs going to the Giants.
Oh
Stephon
yeah.
would reunite with Brian, and then Aaron would throw to Diggs and Neighbors, which both of them probably won't happen. I doubt Diggs will go to New York, but that's just a fun thought to me for no reason.
It would be pretty interesting for sure. But doesn't feel realistic.
Mhm.
I don't know though. At this point, I'm
Yeah,
ready for the Aaron Rodgers saga to end and just have him sign somewhere because I want to know where he's gonna go. But again, he can take his time. He has that right. It's kind of a big decision. It's just be great if he figures it out sooner
yeah.
rather than later.
I do wonder, like, if you're like Aaron Rodgers or some other quarterback, like I guess that could be the thought process for Russell Wilson. Like, don't forget the Cleveland Browns were a playoff team last year,
Hmm.
and it felt like maybe this year they were primarily bad because of the quarterback play. Maybe there
The
were other
defense
factors
regressed
I
as
didn't take.
well.
Defense, yeah, that would make sense. But some of these guys might be thinking like, okay, Cleveland wasn't that far removed from being like a. Not only were they a playoff team, they were like 11-5, like a very decent record. I mean, they got walloped obviously in the playoffs, but like they were like a very solid team. And then suddenly they're just like same old Browns. So you know, maybe I don't know. Like again, I don't know if even if like the Browns were, I just don't know if Aaron would want to go to the Browns. That just doesn't feel like something he'd do.
No, I don't think the Browns are gonna get one of these guys anyway. Honestly, I saw something funny earlier. I don't know how legit it is, but it's a rumor that Carson Wentz is interested in the Browns, and the Browns are interested in him. And so there's this idea that he and Kenny Pickett are gonna battle it out for the starting quarterback position, which would be really really weird, but it would be so Cleveland.
Carson. Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know who wins. That would
I would
be like
guess Kenny Pickett. I don't know.
maybe.
My money would be on Kenny Pickett because he's started games and did like not terrible and feels like Carson Wentz just a lifetime backup now. But I don't know. Maybe you do give Carson a shot. I don't know. That is funny though. I did see
I
that
really
too.
hope that happens. I'm rooting for this. Carson Wentz to Cleveland, and I don't know which quarterback competition would be better, that one or Danny Dimes against Anthony Richardson. It's the greatest thing we could have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You got these mid offs of these mid quarterbacks
They're
like
not
that.
even
It's
mid.
so
That's a compliment to these guys, honestly.
that's
When
true.
you're the worst
That's right.
starting quarterbacks in the league, that's I don't think you deserve to be called mid.
Maybe like Anthony Richardson is like mid, but it's like, if he gets beat by Daniel Jones and it's a really an indictment on his career. I don't know, but no, I see what you're saying.
I
Yeah.
mean, to be
And
fair,
like
Anthony
starting
Richardson
like
could break out and be a top 10 quarterback next season or something like that. He has that ability. To be fair, he's a little different from these other guys, but also he has been one of the worst quarterbacks the past couple of years.
yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, so interesting stuff. Um it is kind of strange that Aaron is just taking his time, not really doing anything. Um but
Well, again,
we'll
he was
see.
waiting. Reportedly, he was waiting for the Vikings to see if there'd be interest there, because of course he would want to go to a team like Minnesota over all the other options. So I understand that part. And if the Vikings truly have no interest, then it is time to move on and go to your second choice, which should be Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah. Also, by the way, apparently Trey Hendrickson could just sit out the 2025 season
Oh
he
gosh,
doesn't
no,
get a
he can't.
contract.
He can't do that. He doesn't have
No,
that
you
many
can't do that.
productive years left. At least
Yeah,
I
no,
doubt it.
don't follow the footsteps of Le'Veon Bell. I know it's different, like running back is different from like the position, but still, don't do that.
No, Hendrickson is what, 30 or a little older than that?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's too old to be sitting out for money. I get it, but you can't. No one buys that.
No,
He's not sitting out. I'd be
that's
shocked
not.
if I'm
Yeah,
Cincinnati. I let
I
it
agree.
happen,
Right.
or just
All
give up and
right.
trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of
Do
Cincinnati,
you? Mm-hmm.
yeah, we are transitioning now. We're speaking of Cincinnati. They decided to
Maybe,
throw money at their receivers at long last. So Jamar Chase, 41
maybe.
million a year. What do you think of that?
So I was actually thinking about that earlier. Like I was obviously aware that the moves happened. And that like, Jamar Chase got 41 million a year, T Higgins got what, 20, 30, something like
I
that?
think it was 29,
25 or 30?
around
29?
29.
Yeah.
It was less than 30. I know
Okay,
that.
I have a take that might be a hot take. It might be a hot take. I think it is a hot take.
All right, bring
Is
it.
that
Bring it.
I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think this is good business. And if you had to like extend both of them to like extend one, if you had to extend both of them, you just let them go, both go,
Oh man,
because it just like isn't it now that like Joe Burrow, Jamar, and T are taking up like 44% of the salary cap or something?
they're the three of them are making an absurd amount of money. That is definitely true.
Yeah. So I now this could very much like backfire. Like watch like me say all this and then the Bengals have an electric offense, their defense improved, and they're like 16-1 and go to the Super Bowl. Like I do acknowledge that could happen, but I just think it's bad business. And like I think if they were really like I would try to sign Jamar Chase, just not T. Higgins. And if it felt like you had to like extend both for it to happen, you just trade them both. That's kind of what I would have done. Because I feel like you still have Joe Burrow. And I know there's the possibility of Joe Burrow quitting on the Bengal. I don't know if I would necessarily buy that, but you know, because like you could like trade them and get good compensation, then just start building on the defense. But I don't know. That's my hot take of the day.
So I'll say so for some useful context for anyone wondering. T Higgins, his agent, he switched agents. I think it was I don't remember what it said, but it was sometime last year, and he has the same agent as Jamar Chase, and basically he was using that as
Yes.
leverage so that both guys would end up getting signed, or if he didn't get signed, both guys would end up leaving. So that was a legitimate threat that Cincinnati was having to worry about. So it was a very clever business move by T. Higgins and his agent, and I guess Jamar Chase as well. They all got what they wanted.
Sure.
As for it being bad
That's actually very
business,
smart.
yeah, that was awesome. But I see both sides of it. I see how it could be good and how it could be bad. It is a ton of money to
Yes.
be throwing at two receivers when you have no defense. Um, but also you're locking up what's going to be the core of probably the best offense in the league over the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, with Joe Burrow throwing to Jamar and T. Like you're not gonna find a better core than
Yes.
that. And then they've got a young running
Right.
back in Chase Brown. You don't have to really worry about the run game as much. They should be fine there. If they can use their sources as the cap increases over the next few years, and they can build up a defense properly this time around and make sure the offensive line doesn't kill Joe Burrow, I can see in a few years that, or maybe even sooner, they're a Super Bowl contender again. I can see it. It's going to take some time. Next season, as all the memes have said, is going to be rough. They're going to be fun to watch, but they're not going to be a real contender with no defense. Long
97 to
term,
94 against the,
yeah.
yeah.
But long term, I see the vision. I can see this working out long term. I can also see where they continue to keep failing to build the defense, and this was all for nothing, and they've just thrown money at their offense, and it doesn't yield any results. So this can go both ways. I could also say, you're saying if you had to either pay both of them or lose both of them, you'd lose both of them. I could kind of see that if you can find some decent receivers for Joe to throw the ball to, and you can use the resources to build up the rest of the team. So I think that could also have worked out for the best. It also could have completely destroyed the locker room, the chemistry. Joe really might have quit on the team, honestly. He might have requested a trade. I believe that if you trade away his guy, Jamar Chase. I don't know, man. So I think they were just in a tight spot, and they did what they felt like was a safer move, and they kept their guys around, and they're just going to hope they can build a defense over the next few years.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good insight. Well, not insight necessarily, but that's pretty good, pretty well thought out. Okay, I didn't mean like to insult. It's good insight. I guess like I was saying like it's just. No, I was thinking about like insider for some reason. Like you were some like NFL insider. Those kind of got jumbled in my head. So it was
That's funny.
that is good insight. Clear. I was saying
No, I
more.
got you.
That's pretty well. That was pretty well explained. And I do think like well, one, it's pretty impressive that the Bengals were able to pull it off. Like I don't think any of us would have thought that they could like send Jabbar and T and keep Joe and all that stuff. And what I think
there were so many jokes about that last year. They paid Joe, and people were like, "Okay, I guess you're trading T Higgins next year." So it's amazing they kept all three guys.
Yes, and I guess what you could say, to be fair, like in defense of paying all of them, is that if you trade T Higgins and Jamar Chase and just try to build the defense and build the O line, you don't know like what the constant variables are besides Joe Burrow. Whereas if they did what they did for at least the next 2-3 years plus, you'll have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T Higgins.
Yeah, exactly.
You might have questions
is set for years.
Yeah, like your offense is set. So that could be an argument. So that's pretty interesting. I kind of, maybe it's just like, maybe I'm just interested to see what the compensation would have been. I'm not exactly sure, but
they would have gotten a haul for Jamar Chase, and I
yeah,
know
for sure.
I know T Higgins wouldn't have gotten as much, but they could have gotten at least a second rounder for him.
Yeah, I think teams like the Bills and Chiefs have shown that you don't need like elite receivers to contend, and yeah, if they got a haul, they could totally just rebuild their team. Like like Joe Burrow. I know you want to request a trade. Just be patient. Just 1 or 2 years. Like you still have like a decade plus of like good playing years.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't hit on those draft picks, right? You're banking on the replacements actually coming through.
Yeah, if you don't hit on those draft picks, then you trade Joe Burrow for a haul
Oh
and just
man, well we're just
rebuild the
completely rebuilding now.
Yeah, but like you have like all the draft picks you can. I don't know, but I see what you're saying. I think those are some pretty good points, though. But I mean, my hot take though doesn't even matter because they did extend Jamar and T. But you know, we'll see how it plays
It's
out.
still fun to think
I do
about
have
and
a feeling
wonder
for
what
that.
was best.
Yeah,
I
I
personally
do
wish
think
they had
my
traded T. I wish they had traded only T Higgins, to Carolina, and
yeah,
yeah,
that I think for me that would have been ideal too. Like you extend Jamar but trade T. I guess the complication comes. What if they have to be together, or what if they would have to be signed together?
yeah. I think that was a bigger problem than people realized until after it was reported, of course. Because I don't think anyone
Right.
realized that beforehand. I mean, people knew that they wanted to stay together, but not that they
So, like
basically
they
had
got
to.
switched agents like, to like hold the Bengals to feet to the fire. Yeah, that's
That
insane
was a
for
smart
sure.
move. I wonder if we're gonna see more of that in the future.
Yeah, you could have like I don't know. I guess it's rare to just have like two top 15 receivers on the same team or something like that. But like I feel like that's rare. But I that could like Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, I guess, are on the same team.
An
Devonta's been
argument could be
extended though,
made for
right?
Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Could argue for that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, before the injury, I would have said Nico Collins and Tank Dell because Tank Dell's still on his rookie deal, but I don't know. We just don't know what's gonna, what the future of his
Maybe Nico
career
Collins and
outlook
Christian
looks
Kirk will be a really good duo.
like. Right? Christian Kirk is gonna hold the Texans feet. Yeah, I don't know about that,
A
but
2,000 yard season coming
I
up.
see. Yeah, for sure. 2,000 yard. Yeah, if Christian Kirk goes for 2,000 yards, like that would be absolutely insane.
I can't
Like
imagine.
an all-time
What reality is
season. Yeah,
that?
for what reality is that for sure. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts on the whole Joe T Higgins, Jamar Chase stuff?
I mean, I guess there's not much more to it. If they had to pay both guys, I mean, I always said you got to keep a guy like Jamar Chase around. I don't love that they're sacrificing their defense for another year, but you do what you got to do. Either it'll work out, or it was all going to fall apart anyway, I guess. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. I mean, the Bengals will be an exciting team to watch, but I don't know how good they'll be. Maybe they'll still have no defense, but that'll be a fun team to
They're the
watch.
anti-Steelers at this point. The Steelers always have a great defense, but not much of an offense, and they go 9-8 and make the playoffs. That's what we're going to have with Cincinnati, except great offense, no defense.
Yeah, they'll probably go 9-8 as well. Like,
Probably.
I imagine like whenever the Steelers and Bengals play, it's like gotta be pretty fascinating. I just say that because I don't even remember like what happened in those games, but
I don't
Steelers
remember. I think they
versus
split.
yeah, so there was a 44 to 30. Steelers beat the Bengals 44 to 38. That's funny. I don't remember that game. Russell Wilson had a good, huh? I'm trying to remember. Like, was it on prime time? Was I? I don't know.
I
It
don't think
doesn't
so.
say off the bat.
I doubt it.
Steelers scored 30. That's actually insane. I guess the Bengals have no defense and that works. But yeah,
Well, it's going to be interesting for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how it's
You
going to
want
work with
speak?
Cincinnati, but we'll see. Oh, sorry.
Speaking of which, this is a good transition to talk about um the show that Joe Burrow will be on.
Yeah, they have renewed the Netflix series Quarterback for a second season. They're going to be featuring Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and returning Kirk Cousins. What do you think?
So it is very interesting. I do think now it's not like beggars can't be choosers, so like, but maybe they wouldn't have been the three quarterbacks I would have chosen. But again, like most people aren't gonna say yes. I do think it's pretty interesting that Kirk Cousins is a repeat guest. I think Joe Burrow is gonna be pretty interesting just with the whole just everything going on with the Bengals and things like that. Um Kirk Cousins will be really interesting because of the whole Michael Penix situation, right?
Yeah, a lot
Like,
has changed for
I'm
Kirk
not,
since season one of quarterback. We're gonna get some very interesting insight.
yeah, for sure. I mean, signing with Atlanta, then them drafting Michael Penix, like,
I would
I think
love to
there's
hear
just
what he really thought of that. That would be great. I'll watch just for that
that
reaction.
right for sure, for sure. Um, Jared Goff, I don't know, but I guess he's like the starting quarterback of like the one of the best teams in the NFL. So that's gotta be, some good content, right? So
Yeah, I don't know much
yeah, I
about
mean,
Jared Goff as a person. I don't know much about his personality, so I guess it'll be interesting to see what he's like.
yeah, yeah, that would be interesting to see. Yeah, I think Jared Goff is just one of those like guys who just like flies way under the radar compared to some of those other guys.
It seems
Because
like
he
he
even
kind of
felt
keeps to
like when
himself, and he's just pretty chill.
Yeah, so even when things got ugly with like LA and he got traded from LA to Detroit, which back then Detroit was a horrible team. But, even with all of that, it just felt like he was just like, oh, just back to work, back to business. Like it never really felt like you heard from him, right?
Yeah, nobody gave him much of a chance in Detroit, and here he is. So maybe we'll get some insight on that. Maybe see what was going through his mind when that happened. That would also be interesting.
Yeah, like reminiscing of the whole drama in LA. Yeah, that could be pretty interesting if it comes down to that.
And then as for
And
Joe
and then
Burrow,
I'm
he's
sure
just a cool guy. I don't really know what we're
yeah.
gonna get from Joe though. I mean,
Yeah, I guess Joe's injury was the year before, so we wouldn't really hear about that. Because for some reason, I was thinking like Joe Burrow, their like injury, but he wasn't injured, right?
no, not last year. Because last year he
This
he would have won MVP if he had a defense.
right. Yep.
Maybe we'll hear about how bad life is when you don't have defense.
Yes. Right. I was gonna say about Jared Goff. I'm sure you'll get some sound bites from Dan Campbell. I'm sure
Oh, I hope
there'll
so.
be
I hope
some of.
so.
That'll be cool. Yep. I guess the more interesting one is Kirk Cousins. 'Cause, one, he's a repeat, but also like the whole Michael Penix situation. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
it'll be
We'll see
interesting to
how
see
that
what we
goes.
learn. And also, I mean that first season of quarterback that made me a Kirk Cousins fan. So I have no problem with him being back. I will watch for Kirk Cousins. So very much looking forward to
Right.
that.
Do you know when it's coming out?
I have no idea. I just saw that it was announced earlier, and I didn't get any more information.
I think it's probably like June or July or something like that is my guess. I think that's
Probably
when like receiver and quarterback came out. So
just right in the middle
we'll
of the off
see.
season when everyone's bored and needs football content. It's the best time to do it.
Yep, that is the time to do it. Indeed.
All right, well, that's probably about all we have to say about quarterback for now. We'll wait and see if we get any more information moving forward. Were there any other topics that we needed to cover today?
Were there any other topics we needed to cover? That's a really good question. Let me
There's
just
just not a whole
refresh this
lot.
page. Right. I mean, Diggs is to be well, Diggs is visiting the Patriots.
Ah,
So
yes,
Stephon
Stefan
Diggs.
Diggs.
So,
We were talking earlier how that feels like a really weird fit. Stefan Diggs being a Patriot just does not seem like a Patriot kind of guy. But they need a
second
receiver.
year quarterback. Right. Second year quarterback, Mike Vrabel's run first offense. Like, that would be pretty weird. New England, like, I don't know, it's fun. It doesn't
It's
really
really
feel
just his
like.
his personality though. I feel like that wouldn't mesh super well in New England.
I guess the weather wouldn't be a problem because he was in Minnesota and Buffalo, but
Yeah, he's
like,
built for the weather there.
yeah, for sure. But New England, he just doesn't. I guess though, when you say like like he doesn't feel like a Patriot, like I feel like there's still something in the back of people's minds that think like Bill Belichick and all those guys, even though they're mostly gone.
Yeah, I
But
I could never see him playing for Bill Belichick for sure. But
Bill
maybe that's part of it. Maybe there's
Belichick.
just this stigma around the Patriots that certain players would never go there. Maybe that changes with Mike Vrabel in charge. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we will have to see. Um,
Jordan
there's a
Mason
lot of
was
buzz.
traded to the
Oh,
Vikings.
that's right.
That also happened. That's more of a minor move to a lot of people, but I mean, he was fantastic filling in for Christian McCaffrey last year. It's kind of shocking that all they got was a sixth round pick. I mean, I know running backs don't go for much, but I mean, Jordan Mason very clearly could be a starter in the league. He was one of the best starters in the league. Um, I don't know why they wouldn't just keep him if possible. I guess he wants a chance to start, but I don't know. It felt like a loss for San Francisco for sure, which further shows their destruction this offseason. They have had a terrible offseason, just falling apart. But casual reminder, they're
Right.
still going to be good next year. Somehow they're going to win like 9 games or something and compete for the division.
Right. No, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, it does, I guess, reflect because not only that, but he got traded to Minnesota. And Minnesota brought back Aaron Jones, right?
They did, yeah. So Mason will be the backup, or maybe they'll do a committee approach.
Yeah, so he's going from backing up Christian McCaffrey to backing up Aaron Jones.
But
Although
Aaron
maybe you
Jones
could,
also
maybe
has
there's
a lengthy injury history, so it wouldn't be a surprise to anyone if Jones went down with an injury and Mason is going to have to be the starter for a while.
yeah, maybe that's their idea is that like Aaron Jones is like injury prone, he's getting older, and maybe they'll just let Mason just be the running back at some point. I don't know,
He could
but
be. He's the running back of the future for sure, and they got him for a 6th round pick. So instead of drafting a guy in the 6th round, they used the pick to get someone who's already proven he can be a starter in the league. And the Minnesota, I
right,
don't think their
for sure.
system is too different from San Francisco. I think that was a big reason Darnold did so well in Minnesota. It was very very friendly. Offensive line was great, great talent on offense all around. I think that's going to be a great fit for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, very curious. I mean, I guess it's just like the going rate of like running backs. Like, a backup running back is not going to go for like a second round pick or something like that.
Right.
Like, I guess the thing with Jordan Mason, I don't really watch that much. I mean, I'm not. I'm only saying this because I'm like, it's not like I have authority to like talk about, but like, it's not like he was like Walter Payton or Barry Sanders or anything like that. Like
Right.
he was good and productive, but maybe the stigma is that like he wasn't great. It could have just been like a 1 year thing and a really good system, and that he's just like not valued that highly. I mean, especially it feels like they're just like a lot of running backs these days. I don't know, but I see
I
what you're
guess
saying
so.
too. Like 6th round pick. It definitely feels like a good move for Minnesota for sure. Like I only have to give up a sixth, and I get this like potential starting running back. Like, yes, I mean,
Yeah,
sign me up. I
it's
mean,
like it's clear who won the trade. Like Minnesota gets a win, and San Francisco it's a loss that you had to trade him for a 6th round pick. It might not really affect them much overall, until McCaffrey gets hurt again. But it's just
right.
a sad reality that that's all they could get for someone like him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Joe Mixon was traded for a seventh. Like when he got here. So that title screams delusional. No, that title screams the truth, reality.
We're going with it.
Right.
Yep, Houston's gonna win the Super Bowl.
We are indeed going with it. Yeah, any other topics? Or chat. Do y'all have any other? If you just got here, we did pretty much go over our main topics. But if y'all have any like football or non-football, but preferably football questions, we are more than happy to take them. Shadur Sanders is the favorite to
Give
be
you guys
drafted
some
by the
time.
Giants.
What was that?
Yes. Oh, Shadur Sanders is favored to go to the Giants.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Steelers got the Super
Right.
Bowl.
Yep. We can talk about the rules proposals that happened. I didn't
Oh
even
yeah,
like
I forgot
get
about
track.
that.
Like,
I
Packers
forgot
submit a
about that
proposal
whole.
to ban
Wow.
tush push.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's so weak to me. The Packers are trying to ban just stop the play. If you got a problem with it, stop it.
and then
I
if you
get it.
can't, you got do it yourself. Like, yeah, I don't get like you know teams fans who cry about the tush push. Like, it's football. Like, you have a football. You have every right to do just
It's a
like
football play. That's what it is. It's a football
it is
play.
football play. Yeah,
People can't stop it, and the Packers
it's not.
apparently can't
It's
handle
not
that.
some wonky like O lineman didn't report and then he goes out for a pass or anything like that. Like I guess you could argue in the grand scheme of things that's football too, but it's also like I guess it's different because O linemen are supposed to like not catch the ball, whereas quarterback sneaks are definitely a thing. So like you keep quarterback sneaks, like why not the tush push? Let's try to stop it, and the refs will award an automatic touchdown. Yeah, just keep jumping like that guy on the Commanders did, and then eventually
Oh
we
yeah.
can award an automatic touchdown.
Yeah, it's the one thing the Eagles are famous for. It's definitely not the one thing. There are a lot of other terrible things they are famous for.
What will the Titans do at 1? Seems like the assumption is that they'll just draft Cam Ward. Is that right?
Um, Geez, I don't know. I could see them drafting if they draft a quarterback. It's going to be Ward. That's for sure. I believe.
Right.
Um, I've been saying I think they're going to end up trading out. I think the Giants are going to get so desperate that they just offer up an absolute haul to go get Ward. That might not be what happens. Maybe they stay put and draft whoever they want to draft. I mean, I could see them going for Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter as well. I don't know.
Where did the Giants pick?
They're a 3. So if
3.
they don't make the trade, what's likely to happen is the Titans would take Cam Ward and then the Browns would take Shador Sanders, unless lots of reports are false and they aren't actually going to draft a quarterback.
Right. Yeah. No, we haven't talked about that. That's actually a good question. Yeah, it does seem like my assumption is that the Titans they haven't done anything at quarterback, right? Like I mean, it's still just Will Levis there, right?
Yeah, that's
And
it.
you clearly don't have him as your guy. So I think the fact that they didn't even like they haven't even signed like Joe Flacco or anything like that. So I think the assumption is that
Well,
they're
not
just
yet.
gonna stick in. I mean that's true. It could
We're kind of
happen,
we're kind of
but
waiting on a huge quarterback domino to fall before anything else happens there.
right. But yeah, I would say I think they're just gonna stick and pick Cam Ward. Because I do think if you trade back a couple spots, I guess if you get a haul, like a massive haul, like it makes sense. But
Yeah,
then you risk like, what if you get your third favorite quarterback, at the third pick?
and they're gonna end up with
And
Jackson
I'm not
Dart severely overdrafting him.
right. It's just Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, and then Jackson Dart,
Yeah,
basically.
that he
Or is
would
there
be
someone?
QB3 in the draft, unless you just really like Jalen Milrow or Quinn Ewers, which I
Yeah,
haven't heard anything
I
about
guess.
them.
I mean, if you traded to 3. I guess so. Yeah, I guess for some reason I had the thought that there were 3 guys at the top, but there were really only 2. So like, if you
Yeah, there are only
trade
2 who
3,
should go in the first round, and then 1 who probably will because teams are desperate. Maybe.
yeah.
I
So
don't
if
know.
you trade
Maybe.
to 3, Giants take Cam Ward, Browns take Shador, and then you're at 3. Like, yeah,
But
like
so a big thing for them would be, do they have a roster that can support a rookie quarterback for the next couple seasons? Because we've seen, like in Carolina, Bryce was terrible because there was a terrible roster around him, as it turned out. Last season it got better despite still not having that great of a roster overall. But still, like, if your team is terrible and you have no way to build that up, it's not the best time to draft a rookie. So there is some wisdom in drafting a guy like Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, who are, some view them as generational talent. I don't know if I'd go that far with either of them. Um, Although I will be celebrating if they fall to my team. But um, I don't. There's some wisdom in taking one of those players and then drafting your quarterback next year. I've been saying for a while, I really love the draft class for quarterbacks next year, and I think you don't have to be. I mean, the Titans are not going to fall out of the top 10 picks next year. I feel pretty confident in that. Especially if they don't draft a
yeah.
guy this year, they can just be terrible again and then get a really good quarterback next year. But
Okay, so
I
I do
also
have a
know.
thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge that Sudoku hopes that they stick with Mayo Man.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's sadly not. Yeah, if you want to complete your thought, then I have a thought about that as well.
No, go ahead about Mayo Man. I mean,
Okay.
I'm with
Oh, no,
him.
well, not
I
Mayo
wish they
Man,
would
but
keep
like,
Mayo Man.
yeah. But so I think what you're saying sounds good in like a utopian society. Maybe that's a bad way, but like in a perfect world, like you just take the best player available, like Abdul Carter, and then you suck again and draft like Arch Manning or something like that.
But the staff
I don't
doesn't
know.
want to
I
do that.
just think like right. I just think like that's how we were talked about before we drafted CJ Stroud. Remember the storylines? It was like we should just draft like. I guess funnily enough, the argument would have been like Will Anderson. We took him anyway because we traded up. But like it's like draft Will Anderson, and then
I thought
you
I thought that
will.
was just a smokescreen, honestly.
I guess, but well, there were. I guess it was, but like there were people saying that we shouldn't draft a quarterback. We should stick with Davis Mills, and then next season try to get someone. I don't know. I just feel like if you need a quarterback and you're drafting in like the top 3, you should just take a quarterback. And like Sudoku says, like most teams that
depends
draft
on the quarterback
with the top.
That depends on the quarterback.
I mean, well, yeah, like right, like yeah, but then I wouldn't trade to 3 if I risk losing out on Shedeur and Cam Ward.
But see, how do you view those guys though? It sounds like the Titans like Cam. I don't know. Yeah. If it's me, I would act if it was my team in this position. And I say this as a Panthers fan who was one of the few who was excited about trading up a few years ago instead of just being bad again and getting a better quarterback in the following draft. I wouldn't want my team to draft one of the quarterbacks this year. I don't believe in them. Not really. Not enough to want them with that high of a pick.
Quarterbacks and Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I'm not overly fond of either of them. I think that they're both gonna have rocky starts in the league. I don't see a day one starter in either of them. Cam Ward maybe. I think he's gonna have some turnover issues. Shedeur, I think he's just more talented Teddy Bridgewater at best. Maybe that's kind of what I see.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I did understand that was a joke. It was just hard to like transition because we are actually kind of debating at this point. And I did want to acknowledge that you wanted them to stick with Mayo Man, but yeah, no, I do understand like that it was a joke and that you shouldn't do that. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thoughts.
Where was I?
Something about how Shedeur Sanders is Teddy Bridgewater, which I'm sure
I don't see a franchise guy in these quarterbacks. Maybe Cam Ward can be that guy, but only if you can really build a team around him. And I wouldn't trust my team to do that. Not if I'm picking that high in the draft, I'm just I'm sure one of these guys is going to be good. That's one of them's bound to be good, right?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. If that's truly what you think, like if you're a talent evaluator or like a scout and you don't think that either of them are like going to be very good or the franchise guy or however you want to say it. Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and again, with next year, the draft, having so many good prospects, that also is factoring in. Like, you've got, okay, I'm going to say Arch Manning. I know we haven't actually seen the product on the field yet, but we're going to guess he's going to be highly sought after. Guys like that.
Right. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. I would say, just for my personal opinion, and the reason that I would, draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is that like I think like just generally like it's kind of like I think it's just like the general consensus in the NFL is that they're either the top 2 guys or like up there. Because I think you could think about draft class like the Kenny Pickett draft class, for example. Like that was like a draft class where like none of the quarterbacks were good. And the first quarterback didn't get taken. Steelers took him like what 21, pick 21 or something like that.
Yeah, and then no one was picking until like the 3rd round. That was a terrible draft class.
Right. And obviously that's like that's an extreme. Like that's probably the worst draft class you could have thought about like in a while. But like,
and this is definitely a better class. I'll go ahead and say that this is definitely better.
You can maybe compare it to like the 21 draft class where it's like Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. They all got picked high, but none of them have really. Trevor kind of, I guess there's still the jury's still out.
That's kind of what I expect from this class. I think one guy is going to be the Trevor Lawrence, who is good, not great, and then everyone else is going to be not so good.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I think it's fine. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I think those are some good points.
It really just comes down to how these teams view these players, though. Like if you really believe in the guy, you sit there and you take your quarterback. I would agree there.
Also, yeah, I do think if I'm the Titans, and I know like you're not literally saying you think that Cam Ward is gonna be exactly like Trevor Lawrence, but the idea is kind of there, right? But like, if I'm the Titans and I could basically just draft like a rookie version of Trevor Lawrence, like, wouldn't I just maybe take that? Like, I mean,
if he's Trevor Lawrence, then yeah, you definitely. But this is also not. I mean, Trevor Lawrence when he's drafted, he's a generational prospect. Cam Ward is like he wasn't even on high on draft boards until last year. or I mean this like after last college football season.
Right. I was saying for Trevor. I was saying like like the Trevor Lawrence we've seen like in the NFL. Like if you
Oh,
basically drafted that player and you're going to get that production, it's kind of. I'm not saying
okay,
like
that's
coming out of
actually
college with all.
interesting. Like if you're literally gonna get if you're literally gonna get Trevor Lawrence, the production that we've seen
Right.
from him so
Yeah.
far,
That's exactly
then
it.
you have to choose that, or you choose a guy like Travis Hunter who can play two positions, who I don't think he should or will play two positions full time, or you get Abdul Carter, who should. Most people view him as a can't miss prospect.
Wait, when did I called Davis Mills? I did. Wait, Davis Mills was. Oh,
Oh
oh.
yeah, he was
I
in
don't
that
think I called that.
draft class.
He was.
He was in the
I didn't.
21
Yeah.
class. Yeah.
But who are you high on in the 2026 draft class besides
Oh
Arch
man.
Manning?
Okay, I like Arch Manning. I mean, I'm placing faith in his talent. I just assume he's going to be good. Probably not as good as people hype him up
That's
to be,
fair.
because when is the hype ever real when it's that much hype, right? There's the guy
Right.
at South Carolina. His name slips my mind right now. I've already ranted in the Discord server the last football season how much I like the guy, and if he declares for the draft next year, he's someone who would be high on my draft board. Uh, gosh,
Is
oh,
it
Lenore
is
Sellers,
it
Lenore
Sellers?
Sellers. Yeah,
Lenore
I'm
Sellers, yes.
I'm a big fan of Sellers. I think he's got tons of talent. And there's the guy at Tennessee, Nico Yamaliava, or however you say his last name. Not a bad attempt. Um,
Yeah.
he's a work in progress. That he's got to fix some of his decision making. I'm holding out on him. We're gonna see how he looks next season in Tennessee, but there's a good chance that he improves and he's one of the top prospects. Let's see. I know there are some others, but those are kind of the big three going into next year for
But
me.
that's good. That's good. How good is Arch actually? I'm sure most of the hype comes from his. Yeah, that's a fair argument. Like the whole Manning thing, and it's like maybe it's
I
accentuated
did say that.
because. Sorry.
Sorry, responding in the chat, I did say that. Give Bryce one more year. If he
Okay.
fails, we can get Sellers. Or when he fails.
Um. Right.
I'm
um,
certain I said that.
Wait. Let's give Bryce one more year when he fails. We can get Sell. Wait, did you say that in
I
Discord?
guarantee I said that in the server. I feel very confident I said that. If you go to
That's
the server and
funny.
search for that message, I feel sure it will pop up.
But yeah, I think the whole maybe the Manning thing is like kind of accentuated by the fact that like there was also Eli Manning. Now you could argue like how good actually was Eli Manning. Like he didn't make the Hall of Fame, but he did win 2 Super Bowls. So he had some level of success. But it is possible that like Arch Manning is not that good, and he could be like I don't know, like okay in the NFL if he got there. But there could be like I don't even know like if that's technically. I don't know if that's even nepotism in its literal sense, because. But I see what you're saying though. I think
We gotta
nepotism is
remember
like the whole.
though.
Thing. Huh?
Yeah, I mean we should be worried about nepotism, and we've seen Bronny James make the NBA after all. I mean,
Right.
but Arch Manning, he's been scouted by all these guys. He was like, everyone is saying like based on what they've seen from his high school career, very very good. Um, I don't know if
Yes.
he's going to be as good as the hype says, but I think he will be very good, and he's bound to have loads of talent in there at least.
Yeah. I mean, you don't go to like Texas. You don't have Steve Sarkisian recruit you because of nepotism. Like
Yeah,
that wouldn't
yes.
happen. Like
Sark is a good
if Arch
recruiter. He
Manning
knows his
sucked,
quarterbacks.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, doesn't like Jerry Rice have a son who's like struggling to make it in the NFL or something like that? Like,
Yeah, Brendan
just because
Rice.
like,
Yeah,
right? What is his deal? Is he like just
he
on
was
the
drafted
streets or
late
whatever?
to the Chargers last year or the year before. I don't remember, and he has not done anything.
Yeah, he was on the Chargers last year. He was a seventh round pick, probably pretty close to Mr. Irrelevant, actually. I wonder if that was because of nepotism. Like if he didn't have that last name, like he would just been undrafted.
I mean, that's
Actually, kind
possible.
of.
Because some team's gonna look at that and go, "Okay, well, you've got the genes. It's in the family. Maybe there's a chance we catch lightning in a bottle, right?"
Yeah, for sure.
It's a late round pick. You might as well.
Right.
And I was looking
Yeah,
at
for
some
sure.
other names that to watch for the draft next year because I just forgot names. There's one who I think will rise on draft boards. He's not very well known right now. His name is Fernando Mendoza. I think he was at California last year. Didn't see him play a whole lot because California is not exactly a good football team. But when I watched him play, he seemed like he was pretty good, and he transferred to Indiana, and I think he could have a
Okay.
solid year and climb up draft boards. He's an interesting prospect. Um, let's see, there's someone else on here. It was the LSU guy, Garrett Nussmeier, I think, and I mean he's
Yeah.
the LSU quarterback. Maybe he fixes some turnover issues. Maybe he's Cam Ward. Maybe he's better. I don't know. We're kind of a lot of this is going to depend on what we see on film next year from the college level. But there are a lot of guys I've got my eye on to see who's going to be drafted high, and there are
Yeah.
a lot of dual threat options. Oh, Avery Johnson out of Kansas State. He's a young dual threat quarterback. He might be able to declare for the draft as well.
Okay.
He's like Lenore Sellers, but I don't think he's as athletic. So he probably would need to put
Okay.
on add to his frame, but he's got the talent. I'm just saying all this is to say there are a lot of quarterbacks who could end up climbing up the draft boards. I have a clear big three, but yeah, I can go on and
Yeah.
on about this draft class clearly.
Oh, fair enough. Lightning, you want to release Bryce and draft Sellers after 25?
Hey, look.
Um,
If Bryce isn't good, if Bryce isn't good this upcoming season, and it's time to make a change, why not? I mean,
let's do it.
if
Yeah. Fair
if we can
enough.
get Sellers, why not? I don't see a problem with it if we're in need of a quarterback, and I mean I would be cool with that. It's gonna be really sad if he has a
Great.
terrible season next year, and I have to walk all
That
this
would be
back.
sad after all that hope from like the second half of last season
Yeah,
and just suck again. Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Yeah.
yeah, we're just I'm going to assume that won't happen. I've got faith in him. I'm sure some of these guys I've
Yes.
named are gonna regress. Some of them won't. It's just how it is at the college level. You never know.
Yep. That's how it is. Yeah, some of them will be really good. Others will just like be forgotten 6 round picks. Like, yeah, you never know.
Oh, I will say
Doesn't seem
Carson
as big
Beck and
as
Drew Aller will probably declare for the draft next year too. Those are guys to avoid. Not a Carson Beck fan after watching him at Georgia for 2 years. Don't believe in him at all. Nope.
yeah,
Drew Aller, I think,
right.
is just overrated. But anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all. I'm done with the draft class. I'm done.
Nice. Well, there's your like pre-draft analysis. I don't know. Nowhere as good as 2020. Yeah. I mean that 2020 class, like
I
we're
don't think
talking
you're gonna
about
find a better class than that.
Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance and Mac Jones. Or
Oh,
no, you're
I
talking
think
about
he
like
means
oh, you're talking
the one
about
before that.
that would be oh yeah, so you're saying like
Like,
as far as like NFL production. I thought you were talking about or I thought he was talking about like hype before.
oh
So you're
wait,
talking about Joe Burrow,
yeah, we might need to
Justin
clarify
Herbert.
that then. I was thinking based on results, because Joe Burrow, Tua, Herbert, Hurts, Love. That was a
Yeah.
ridiculous
I think
class.
that's yeah. That's a dang good draft class. Like
Yeah,
one of the best for
I mean, were there any busts in that draft?
us. I'm in the like are you talking about quarterbacks or just
Yeah,
overall?
oh, quarterbacks.
So
Yeah, I should
2021
specify that.
or sorry, 20 Oh, you're good. That's a good question actually. I'm sure there are some guys picked later that just didn't really pan out or didn't do anything.
Right.
Tua hurt. Jordan Love. Funny that like Jordan Love hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet. Jalen Hurts. Jacob Eason is probably the closest you would get to a bust as a
Is he a
fourth round
third
pick.
round? Oh, fourth. Okay. Oh
Fourth
yeah,
round.
so he that's
And
fine.
James Morgan. Right. Jacob Eason, James Morgan, Jake Fromm, Jake Luton, Cole McDonald, Ben DiNucci, the GOAT, Tommy Stevens, Nate Stanley. Yeah. Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley was in that draft class.
What a class. What an amazing class.
Yeah, I remember. I wonder if this Wikipedia article still says it. Let me see, Tyler Huntley, because it would say something like, let me see, what does it say? Oh, hold on, maybe it says it on this article. Oh gosh. Sorry, it's funny if I can like find it, but it's probably not here. It's probably somewhere else. But basically the premise was like, that like the draft class was like a historic draft class, one of the best in the history of the NFL, including Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, whatever, and Tyler Huntley. So so they were using Tyler Huntley in the same sentence to say it was an all-time draft class, which I always thought was funny.
Yeah, because we're still counting Pro Bowl nods as something really amazing, right?
Hi nerds, what's up, socks? How's it going? Tyler Huntley over Jordan Love. Yeah, yeah. Tyler Huntley is a Pro Bowl and Jordan Love
I mean, he's
doesn't.
got more
That's
Pro Bowls, so
oh,
he
I,
must be
I think
better.
it was about. I think it was like about like amount of Pro Bowls or something like that.
It
Yeah.
is absurd. The
So
Pro
well
Bowl
now the
has
article
it's awful
says
now.
Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Jordan, and Jalen Hurts. Sorry. The draft is noteworthy for producing 5 playoff starters at the quarterback position. They're saying playoff starters now. Wait, what's Tyler
Well,
Huntley a playoff starter?
yeah, he's because Lamar was injured still, so
Yeah,
Huntley would have been the
he was a
starter.
playoff starter. Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, they dissed Tyler Huntley, the GOAT.
Wow, I can't believe it. I mean, the best quarterback from that class. You gotta mention him.
And he was a playoff starter. Like they Tyler Huntley. Yeah, Wikipedia, you're not subtle. You're so not subtle. Yes,
Poor
he
guy. He's
started
got
a
it
playoff.
tough.
Right. Yep. You make a Pro Bowl and you still don't get the respect you deserve.
That's true. They did almost win that game. They did almost win that game with Huntley
Right.
starting.
Yes, it was close, but then like he had that fumble at like the goal
Yeah, I
line or
think that
something
was
like
that was
that.
Sam Hubbard. I believe ran all the way
Right.
back. That was wild.
Right. All right. Well, yeah. So that was a pretty historic draft class
Yeah,
because of Tyler
yeah. I
Huntley.
don't. I doubt we're gonna find one that good. I guess Lamar and Josh Allen could their combined success together alone would make their class have a good argument. And I guess Baker's in that class too, and he's been killing it lately. Yeah, he did
Yeah.
retire. He did retire. Always stayed in the same place.
Who retired? Oh, yeah. I know.
Hubbard. Yeah.
Yes.
Probably the second best player on Cincinnati's defense last year.
Probably. Besides Trey Hendrickson.
Right.
Right.
Slater gets zero recognition. He has 13 plus Pro Bowls. Well, I had
He
never
gets
heard of Slater
recognition.
until I met you, to be honest. Like, I'm sorry.
That's,
I
I
can
know,
acknowledge that
thinking.
he's great at what he does, but I really had never heard of him before I met you.
Yeah. I mean, right. It's one of those. Um, Slater. What's Slater's first name?
Matthew?
Matthew Slater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matthew Slater.
I mean, I think he just doesn't get a lot of recognition because he made all those Pro Bowls as a like what long snapper.
I think so. It was something related to special teams.
Nah, more like you met Bill. Okay, fair enough.
That's valid. Yeah, I feel like we're
Bill
both talking about
defected.
him a lot. True.
Yeah. Well, once Bill got fired, he is no longer a Patriots fan. In fact, he
Is he a Tar
celebrates
Heels
when the
fan
Patriots
now? I wonder.
Cardinals.
No, Tar Heels in North Carolina.
Oh well, he was a Texans fan last year and the year before, I think, or maybe just last year.
Hmm.
He likes C.J. Stroud because of Ohio State, because he's like a big Ohio
Oh
State
yeah,
guy.
that's right.
Our
That's right.
Bill Belichick, not the real Bill Belichick necessarily.
Oh man.
And Wagner, yeah, exactly.
Well, we've seen worse. At least he didn't become a Chiefs fan.
Who became a Chiefs fan?
Oh, I said at least he didn't become a Chiefs fan.
Oh, at least, yeah, I got you.
The
Yeah,
bandwagon
at
fans who
least he
went
did.
from the Patriots dynasty to the Chiefs dynasty must be so insufferable.
Yeah, for sure. I saw like that's actually a fun reminder. There was some like, oh my gosh, I don't know, some post about Joe Montana on the Chiefs. Oh, you know what? I think I remember specifically what it was. It was that this like draft, not to go on a tangent, but it could be like the first draft in like years, like a long time, to where there weren't any trades in the first round. And something about how like the last time that happened, or the last time that that was the case, something about Joe Montana on the Chiefs, like how he was traded to the Chiefs. I don't know. Anyway, but like, so there's just basically a post like Joe Montana on the Chiefs, and one of the comments was like, bandwagon Kansas City fans learning for the first time that Joe Montana was on the Chiefs. I just thought that was hilarious. Yeah,
Imagine. So all the Swifties.
right. Yeah, the Swifties probably would. They probably don't. Well, to be fair, they probably don't know who Joe Montana is in
Yeah.
the first place.
I can have some respect for any who do. At least they bothered to learn. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, if you're a Swifty who knows who Joe Montana is, like that's actually pretty. That's
If you're a
you know ball.
Swiftie, if you're a Swiftie, I'm sorry, but also if you have learned about football now, I appreciate that, and I'm glad you've been welcome to our game. If you're a Swiftie and you just know Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, then I no, I'm sorry, no respect.
Right.
That's sad.
Chiefs dynasty is
Missing out.
insufferable because of the way they win. It's not like they're completely dominant like the Pats are always say Chiefs. Past few years they just win on stupid BS. Yeah, I thought it was more last year than the year before. Maybe the year before they also did. I
I
honestly
didn't
don't
think they were so
remember.
bad the year before. I think that the speculation and the idea of them, cheating to win games or it being rigged or whatever, I think that's when it really was ramping up. And then last year it was just every week they found some dumb way to win, so just kind of piled on.
Right. By the way, I did find that post just because I was curious. So far there have been no trades involving first round picks in the 2025 NFL draft. This is the closest to the start of the NFL draft in which there have been no trades for the first round pick since 1993. When 5 days before that year's draft, the Chiefs traded a first round pick to the 49ers in exchange for Joe Montana. It was just some random, like, it's the closest it's been to a draft where there were no trades, and the last time it was that close, it was Joe Montana. Like, it's so
That
random,
is a
but
really weird and specific stat, but also does that
very
mean
weird.
that someone really good is going to get traded 5 days before the draft?
Yeah, like, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if there would be like a modern day comparison though. Like,
Patrick Mahomes gets traded to
uh,
the 49ers to reverse it.
yeah,
Oh,
I
please
guess
don't
the
let that happen.
closest would be like Matthew Stafford, but didn't he get extended or like restructured or something?
He did, yeah. Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
really weird if they traded him now.
AC fans probably don't know who Alex Smith is. Let's be for real. You know, the bandwagons may or may not.
They've probably
Yeah,
heard enough stories at this point to figure it out. He was the guy before Mahomes who mentored him.
right.
That's all they would know.
Yeah, yeah. Right. One of my bosses is a Chiefs fan, but she like actually grew up in like Kansas City or whatever.
Uh,
So she was
that's fair.
saying how like yeah, so she was saying how like she remembers the days when like the Chiefs were terrible and like people would just like give away tickets when the seats were empty and things like that. So it's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna say that about the Panthers
Um,
someday.
Speaking of Montana, when the Chiefs lost my mind, and when the Chiefs lost my mind, I kept thinking about Summerall's call, and the kick is good. There will be no 3P in the 1990 NFC title game. That man got injured on the same hit. Missed the entire season, I think. Interesting.
Dang.
So, yeah. Okay, cool. No, well, not cool necessarily because Montana got hurt, I guess. But interesting, I guess. Brisket, I'm hungry now. Yeah, brisket will do that. Yeah, brisket actually sounds really good now.
Yeah, you didn't have to say that. I mean, now I'm hungry.
I know. Yikes. Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
socks.
torture. Yeah, thanks a lot.
I'm not
Texas
that
has
old,
some
don't worry.
decent. Yeah,
That's funny.
not that old. Yeah. Does a clip that no, no, yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's just one of those.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Uh,
Good stuff. Chat, you got anything else? You should keep us engaged. You gotta like, you know,
Yeah,
get
we ran through
our
our topics today really fast, so if you guys have any questions you want us to tackle, one of us could go on another rant, you know. Although I think it's your
right.
turn
You
now,
never
right?
know what could start. You
All
never
it
know
took was
what
for you to
rant.
talk about the draft class, and I went off.
Right. That was a good discussion. Yeah, that was a good rant.
I'll take it.
Yeah. You think I'm gonna win the captain election for my rowing team?
We
Yeah,
have
I think you
we
got
have
it. I
no
think you
way.
got
I
it
have no
back.
way of knowledgeably answering that, but go you. That's all I got. Go you.
Yeah,
Do it.
I think you
Just
got
win.
it. Nothing but a hunch. I mean, like you don't know. We don't know who's gonna win the Super Bowl. We don't know, but you could have a hunch. I don't know. Good luck,
Yeah. Best of luck to you.
Celtics.
Well, you can make fun of him for having Jason Tatum on the team.
True.
He has no aura at all. I don't follow the NBA closely, but I've seen memes and such, so it's good enough, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
All right. Any other questions, you guys? Anything at all?
I don't follow NBA either. Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, college basketball is definitely far better. With all the upsets. I quite enjoy it.
Right.
Well, I don't care as much during the season, but I mean, I love March Madness. I'll say that. I filled out a lot of brackets at this point. I don't know who's gonna win, so I've made a bracket with picking each possible team I think might win it to win it. So
Yeah.
I'm bound
And
to
then you
get it
just
right.
Gen Alpha slang. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, get that out of our chat. Good
Or
grief.
at wide receiver. Oh yeah, socks. Apparently, Stephon Diggs is visiting the Patriots. So there's that.
From what I've heard, I don't think people are as fond of the wide receiver one in the draft class as we're led to believe. That would be a T Mac from Arizona. I think if Travis Hunter falls to you guys, I think that you take him. Probably. Otherwise, I would guess you get Abdul Carter. I don't know though. I don't think
That's
you get
fair.
T Mac at 4. That's my guess. I don't
Yeah.
think I don't know. The draft is hard to predict. I mean every team has different ideas for what they want or need. But the Patriots obviously really want a receiver.
Yeah, that would be good if they could get one on their hands.
Yeah, win a
They
trip to
need to
Mars.
support
I'm
Drake.
gonna win that trip to Mars, by the way. I just need to let you know. So don't get your hopes up. I'm going.
Right. Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Like, not too in depth, but like, I assume, I don't know, like, would you take a trip? I guess you do take a trip to Mars over $100,000.
I think I would just take the money, honestly.
Okay, I was thinking that too because I'm like, yes, it would be cool to go to Mars, but well, A, it's probably gonna take ages to
I'd
get
rather
there,
have
and
the
B,
money for when I'm here on Earth.
I would sell my seat to go to Mars to some wealthy billionaire who wants to go if that were an option. But
That works. Yeah.
I would, yeah, I would like probably. Like I think the trip to Mars is more valuable. I just don't think it's more valuable to like us. I'm not like dying to go to Mars.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go, honestly. What are your thoughts on Seattle's offseason? This has been the craziest offseason I can remember since I became a fan, 2018. So I kind of like what you guys have
Yeah.
done. I think you traded DK and you signed Cooper Cup for your wide receiver 2. In my opinion, Jason is your wide receiver 1. So you spent like half the money for Cooper Cup at wide receiver 2. That's a good wide receiver 2. And then you save money by getting Darnold to replace Geno Smith. I prefer Darnold ever so slightly to Geno, so I like that. I like what you've done on offense. You've saved money, and long term maybe it's not great. Short term it's good, and while you figure out what to do long term, so I like what you've done on offense. I'm guessing your offensive line still has some problems to sort through. Maybe you address that in the draft. As far as I'm aware, I think you guys have a solid defense, right? At least in the secondary. So we were talking about this last week. I actually think you guys have a good shot to win your division, or you're at the very least going to be competing. You were competitive last year. I would expect the same this year as well. Because I don't think you got worse. I think if anything, you may even get better. That's my take, though. I could be totally wrong, but we'll see. Daniel, what about you? What have you
There
got?
you go. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those thoughts align with mine too. Tried to sign Will Fries, but got outbid. Oh, that's a bummer. But yeah, I don't know about really other components of your team, as as far as like defense and like offensive line. Apparently, your offensive line's terrible, so hopefully that gets fixed. But
Well, they've got
yeah,
one
I
tackle,
guess.
right? I would love to hear about the offensive line because I really don't know about it. But I know they drafted Charles Cross a couple years ago, and he's supposedly pretty decent. But I don't know what the
Right.
problem with the offensive line is.
Yeah. But I think like just surface level, like you had Sam Darnold, Cooper Cup, you have Jason as like your wide receiver one, two. I know you say one. It could
Yeah,
depend on
that's
what you
that's
think of
not that's
Cooper
not a
Cup.
take that a lot of people are going with yet. I'm kind of
Oh,
jumping the gun
I
on
think it's
that.
fair though. I think I think it's fair for sure. But like you have the more established guy in Cooper Cup. You have the like younger player in JSN. And like I don't know. I do like, and I guess that's like gonna depend on Sam Darnold. Like, is Sam Darnold gonna be able to continue his play, or is he just gonna be like meh? Because if he's meh, then I don't think the Seahawks are gonna be very good. But if he can keep up his play, then
Well, they've
I
got
know
two
like a
running
lot of
backs
people.
too. Two good running backs that can lean on the run if Darnold is struggling early on. So just lean on the run and ease him into the system, and you can figure things out as you go. You can try to,
Yeah,
at
and I
least.
know a lot. Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying like, "Oh, he was just a product of the O'Connell system, and when he's out of the O'Connell system, he's not going to be as good." But part of it is like he hasn't played well in the O'Connell system. Like it's not like it's the NFL. Like it's not easy, either way. So it's like I don't know. I think it could translate.
Yeah, and
Devon
Seattle
actually
went
going to
after
us.
him, and I would trust that they're fairly competent, and they must believe
Stephon
that Darnold is gonna succeed there.
Stephon Diggs is visiting the Patriots. He hasn't Russell Wilson sees the Giants as a more viable option for him as ready to sign at any moment. Okay, I don't think that's necessarily new. Um, cool, I guess.
Yeah, just a small update to keep us interested, when in reality there's no real update.
I guess he's on board like with the Giants rather than just returning to Pittsburgh. I guess it kind of makes sense if he felt like it soured in Pittsburgh or he and like Mike Tomlin didn't see eye to eye. But I don't know.
Interesting. I mean, like we've said, I think this is his last year as a starter anyway. So just go wherever you're gonna
Oh, I
have the
didn't
most
even
fun.
think about that. Wilson returned to Pittsburgh because of DK. That didn't even cross my
Oh
mind that they
yeah,
would reunite if that happened. Um,
yeah.
I was saying earlier, I think before you went on, is that Russell, like the Steelers should just sign Russell Wilson and punish Aaron Rodgers for waiting, because then he'll have to either go to New York Giants or like Cleveland or Tennessee. Um, because if he can't go to the Steelers, then he doesn't really have any good options.
Yeah, he's just a giant at that
Spin
point.
game, maybe a future episode. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe in the
Okay, he
future
was
we'll do a
he was
spin game.
saying some things about the offensive line. Cross is decent. Lucas is good, so that's two. They're tackles, but they're injury prone. Okay, gotcha. So you need depth.
Right.
Okay. Rest of the line is fairly young, but not good at the moment. Problem is more so development. Okay. Okay, that's fair. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like you need a veteran presence there, honestly. If you could get a veteran, and you'll probably draft another guy for the offensive line, I would assume, or maybe you go receiver. I have no idea what Seattle is looking to do actually. I've heard a lot of different rumors. I don't think you're drafting a quarterback in the first round. I feel confident about that. Some people are saying Jackson Dart at 18. I don't really see that.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about the Seahawks?
Yeah, yeah. There are some
Seahawks
rumors.
drafting.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
interesting.
don't buy into them, but they've kind of died down recently. But there were rumors of it that I don't think that's really anything legitimate. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. We need a proven legitimate veteran presence.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't
Yeah.
name anyone for you though. I don't know.
Right.
Well, I mean, it sounds like to me the only weakness in Seattle is the offensive line. So if you can get that taken care of, I mean, your offense is all set. And again, I'm pretty sure your defense is good. Could be better, but I know you've got a, or I think you have a good secondary with Witherspoon and Yulin. I don't know about your
Yeah.
safeties though. I don't know. I don't know enough off the top of my head just about the entirety of Seattle's defense, but I remember thinking they were pretty solid.
The days of the Legion of Boom are long gone.
This is true. This is
I
true.
hate when you just talk when talking about NFL players. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's fair. Like it's. I understand what you're saying. They don't really like suck at football. Like they would like destroy any high school football field, but like it's fine. I mean, we're fans. We can say that like we can say that like I'm trying to think of someone on the Texans who sucks, but also like Blake Fisher sucks. I don't know, but you can say your players suck. It's okay if you actually think that.
I mean, in a way, they comparatively suck. Compared to the people who are so much better than them. That's yeah. I don't know.
Right.
They obviously don't suck compared to the average person or the above average person.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
These things are all about perspective.
For sure. For sure.
Like honestly, Bryce Young is one of the greatest quarterbacks on the planet. You can't deny that.
That's true. Yeah. No, he totally is.
Yeah, he doesn't suck like some people
Yeah.
say, and he's one of the best out there. If you need a quarterback, he's probably one of the very best you could find in the world. See, all about
Yeah.
perspective.
I mean, just anyone who's like ever played quarterback or thrown a football, he's like top like 0.00 whatever one. Like he's up there.
As is everyone who makes it to the NFL. Honestly,
Yeah, even like like Jake Browning or like Jarrett Stidham or a lot of the like
Nathan
yeah
Peterman.
or yes. No, if Nathan Peterman joined your Thanksgiving family football game, like his team would win.
Oh yeah, it's not even close. That would be tragic for
Right.
us, for the losing team.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Oh man, imagine.
That would be funny though. That would be like I'm actually like who's a quarterback now who like really sucks?
Have you heard of a Daniel Jones? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah. So that what would be
I
it
mean,
would be
he's bad.
hilarious. Right. So like yeah, so people, probably especially fans, you New York Giants fans universally agree that Daniel Jones sucks. But like it'd be funny if like there was like and somehow you could capture this on like reality TV or something. Like there were like New York Giants fans like at a Thanksgiving gathering or something. They're talking about how Daniel Jones sucks and how he sucks so much. And then they play a family like Thanksgiving game and Daniel Jones like joins and both sides are like begging him to
Oh my gosh.
join their team, even though they say he sucks constantly. I don't know. That would be
This
fun.
is an experiment
Mac
we need to
Jones, yeah,
see. I want to see how this goes. I mean, we know how it goes, but
yeah,
I want to see it happen.
that would be funny. That would be funny. Like like Daniel Jones sucks. He robs the Giants, like whatever, and then he's like,
I mean, you've got
hey,
a
I'm
hit
Daniel Jones.
reality TV show on your hands here. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. That would be fun to see. Yeah,
I'd
just
watch
gotta
that.
get access to Daniel Jones or Mac Jones, and then yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
I'm all for it. We need to make that happen.
Nathan Peterman, the GOAT. Nathan Peterman's still in the league. I get, yeah, that is true. He
Is he
is
back up
always just
somewhere?
kind of like sticking around. Yeah, was he on the Saints?
I have no idea.
Free agent currently. He was on the Falcons. He was on the Saints, Raiders, and Falcons practice squads.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. Good for him.
Mac
He's
Jones threw
stuck
the
around.
worst interception. Oh, was that the interception in London? I feel like he had a pretty bad one in London. Like it was on the Patriots. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
Oh, Peterman's a
Yeah, I
free
think he's a
agent. You
free.
think that would be sad?
But he was rostered, in 2024. So you're right. Like it's not he's like completely out of the league.
Yeah, he's hung around for sure. Okay, interesting. All right,
Yeah.
good stuff. Good for him. He'll never start a game, but
Yes.
that's okay. He's making money.
Right. Honestly, it's very impressive that he's in the league because wasn't he already like clowned on or memed on like early in his career when he
Oh
threw
yeah,
like all those interceptions?
with five
Yeah.
interceptions. I think it was five interceptions in one half, maybe. Maybe it wasn't quite that, but it
Right.
was pretty bad. Like, it was
That sounds about
impressive for all the
right.
wrong reasons.
Yeah, in his career, he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 13 interceptions.
That is an amazing ratio.
He only started 5 games, and yet he's still lingering as a backup, which is crazy.
I wonder what he's got that keeps him in the league. What separates him from
Yeah,
these
I
other
don't
guys?
know. Maybe it's just the adversity. He can like teach others how to like handle it. I don't know. He's got the life bullets.
He just tells people to look at what he does and do the opposite.
Hilarious that in 2018 the Bills start Peterman over Allen. Yeah. I think people forget that like Josh Allen didn't like immediately start.
Yeah, I
That's
don't I don't
funny.
remember the start of that at all, so it's interesting.
Once upon a time, Tom Savage started over Deshaun Watson, which was funny. I think he only started 1 game before they just benched him.
Oh, and it worked out, for a couple seasons.
Kendall Hinton threw 2 passes to the wrong team and 1 to the right team in his lone start at QB. Who's Kendall Hinton?
That was the wide receiver who, during the COVID season, the Broncos had no quarterbacks, and he
Oh,
had to play quarterback.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was the COVID year. Yeah,
That was so wild that could even happen.
right. Yes. Did bro
But
like
yeah, it
retire?
was.
He was only in the league for, like 2 years. I guess maybe he just wasn't that good. Just like out
No,
of the
he
league.
he wasn't. I mean, it was cool what he
Yeah,
did, and no one faulted him for throwing two interceptions. I'm sure. But yeah,
yeah.
he'll always be known for
No
that.
idea what's on the game. Yeah, yeah. It was kind of wild. They just had to go in with like no quarterback.
I'm sure they could have easily postponed it if they wanted to. I wonder what the reason was. There had to have been a reason.
Sure, like logistics or something. I don't know.
I don't
He
know.
hung around for a bit.
Yeah, that sounds right. Hung around in Denver
Yeah,
for a
so
couple
he was on the
seasons.
Broncos from 2020 to 2022. So he was in the league for 3 years.
I mean, that's great. But I mean,
Yeah, good for him. I mean,
being in the league at all is
probably made
great. So
enough. Yeah, probably made. I mean, he was an undrafted free agent. Probably didn't make like a lot. Still a decent
still a
paycheck to
lot.
play football. Yeah,
Still a lot.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't have to be even be in the millions. Just a few hundred thousand is great. So
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I would gladly sign up for that. I'll go be your third string kicker. I'll show you how to not kick a football.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you're paid like 700 grand a year to demonstrate to the other kickers how to not kick.
No,
That
I'll
that would
I'll
be
hold I'll
sick.
hold the ball. I'll be the holder while the other guy kicks.
Curling, above average career. That's probably right. I think it is about 2 to 3 years. So no, yeah,
Sounds
Kendall
accurate.
Hinton, whatever, you made it.
Above average. Not many can say that.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Do we have any more questions here before we want to wrap it up?
I was just seeing. No one's really watching it at this point. I was just seeing the Dolphins signed Willie Gay, and
Oh yeah,
predictably, comments have fun with it.
I bet they did. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, he was decent in Kansas City, right?
I think so. I saw a lot of Chiefs fans were wanting him back, so that's usually a good sign if your
Yeah,
former team wants you back.
right. He's only 27, maybe two-time Super Bowl champ. So,
He's got
maybe
the
he'll be
resume.
good for Dolphins. You never know,
He can switch to quarterback. Cleveland might want him. They're interested in Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I really do hope they sign Carson Wentz. That would be so funny. Let it be.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sign me up to watch that quarterback battle. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
All right. It's looking like there are no more questions, and I want to go find food. So I'm thinking,
Fair enough.
are you cool with
You should.
calling it here?
Let's call it. Yep.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you everyone who tuned in and watched, kept us company. It was a fun show. We had some good discussions here. A couple of rants. It was a good day. So hopefully we will find a good day and time next week. Probably something similar, I would imagine. We've done this twice now on Wednesday night, so this might be this might become our go-to at this point. But yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
we'll be back sometime next week. We'll put it in the server everywhere we need to put it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Y'all
Great.
take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye.